Wake up, 49er fans. Hope everybody's having a fantastic December 18th. The shopping days are down to 7. You guys have 1 week to find me something that I'll like.
Larry, you'll get nothing and like it. Welcome, everyone, to Wake Up. It is great to have you here. Thanks for stopping on by. We're brought to you by Sam's Chowder House. That's what I'm going to get you, Larry, a recommendation to go down to Sam's Chowder House. And how about this? You and I head down there. I'm picking up the Oysters Rockefeller this very next time. Sam's Chowder House, let me tell you, you've got a big Christmas meal, I'm guessing, coming up, which means you're not going to want to be stuck in the kitchen on days too long before or after that. You got family in town. You're looking for a nice day trip. Sam's Chowder House in Half Moon Bay, the perfect little escape from San Francisco or the East Bay to take some out-of-town folks to the capital of California. I mean, you cannot do better than a beautiful, sunny, blue sky day at Sam's Chowder House. Go and do it. We wish everyone the very happiest of holidays. I don't know how involved the 49ers are about to be warming your holidays and stuffing your stockings with cheer. But I'll say this, Larry, I think they're good enough to beat the Miami Dolphins. I'll give them that much. It's been a very disappointing year. It's been a very frustrating year. But I actually think that they're going to get on an airplane and beat the Miami Dolphins.
I don't know. I don't know what to think of the Dolphins. You know, that the Dolphins have looked bad recently, but they looked really good in beating the Rams. Yep. And the Rams just looked really good in beating the Niners. So I don't know. All bets are off.
Things are connected, right? Oh, I'm not putting another penny on the Niners unless I'm betting against them this year.
Well, and this is, I mean, I know there is, 1% chance of making the playoffs. But Kyle Posey on Niners Nation said there are 9 things that need to happen for the 49ers to host a playoff game. And the first one is the Niners have to beat the Dolphins. Any other loss by the Niners, and they're done. So they have to start by winning this game. They'd have to beat Detroit in Week 17. They'd have to beat Arizona in Week 18. And they would need, all kinds of, Seahawks would have to lose to the Bears. And the 49ers would need the Rams and Seahawks in Week 18 to tie. I mean, it's just,
you're telling me they're no longer in control of their own destiny.
they have a mathematical chance, but they will be eliminated for sure.
Yeah, but I think that they beat the Dolphins only because this is a week where who are you and what do you represent sort of has been tested a little bit in that locker room. Devondre Campbell, I think, has been a bouncing off point for some football anger that maybe this team needs to bake back into it. And a little football anger will go a long way. I don't even want them to win the game. I mean, it doesn't do the 49ers' future better by winning this game than if you lose it. Honestly, the 49ers should bench Brock Purdy, start Tanner Mordecai, not play Kittle another down, not play Bosa or Greenlaw another down or Fred Warner. They should lay down and die over the next 3 weeks, improve their draft position, and compromise no one from an injury that could prevent them from participating in next year. But that's not going to happen.
No, they're going to roll to victory here in, you know what I mean? It's
42-0.
Yeah, they're gonna roll to victory, and it's gonna be like, all these, well, where was that all year? Man, if we had just played like that, we would, stop. Please, just everybody stop. I can't handle that kind of discussion. But Miami just looked bad against Houston, right? They lost 20-12. And Houston, ran. Mixon didn't run well. They shut down Mixon. He had 12 carries for 23 yards, 1.9 a carry. But they couldn't stop Stroud. He threw a couple touchdowns, both of them to Nico Collins. And Miami fumbled the ball twice and had one and lost one of the fumbles. So, Miami doesn't have much of a defensive line. They lost Christian Wilkins to the Raiders in the offseason, and that's just torn apart their defense. I mean, it's just not quite the same team on that side of the ball. So I do think the 49ers will win this game. But to me, I'm really rooting for the Niners to lose because the Niners are 6-8, the Dolphins are 6-8. Technically, whoever loses this game almost for sure is going to be drafting in front of the other. So this is it's all about the draft picks at this point.
It really is. And it stinks that that's the reality for the 49ers before we even, take a peek into Christmas stockings, but that's the way it goes, man. None of this is guaranteed. If I could retroactively talk the frustrated 49er fan back through last year, because I know that there were a lot of frustrated fans and they were pulling their hair out and the sky was falling each and every week in a year that they appeared in the Super Bowl. Why were you so miserable last year? You should have saved your misery for this year. There are times to I need some sports thoughts to align with each other, I guess. Let me tell you who the 49er fan I'm having the most trouble understanding this week, Larry, is the 49er fan who is anti-Brock Purdy and has started riding the go get me Kirk Cousins bandwagon. That is the most confused, least informed, doesn't know what he wants sports fan in America. You don't like Brock Purdy because you're convinced he doesn't have the physical attributes and cannot win the big game. Kirk Cousins is hardly a mountain of physical attributes. And when it comes to winning big games, Kirk Cousins gets nervous on Sunday Night Football. Kirk Cousins is bad in prime time. That's enough of a setting of a big game for him to turn the ball over 3 times in it. Kirk Cousins has been in the NFL for 14 years? His teams have won 1 playoff game? And we've got 49er fans saying, Purdy, not good enough, not gifted enough, doesn't win enough for me. And you're going to want to replace him with Kirk Cousins. Just make it make sense. Explain.
Here are the odds. Here are the odds. Which team will Kirk Cousins, it says Kirk Cousin, but of course there's an S there. What team will Kirk Cousins start week 1 of the 2025 season with if it's not the Atlanta Falcons?
Or maybe this is a whole new guy, Larry. Maybe this is Kirk Cousin.
Maybe this is his cousin. But the Titans are the 4-1 favorite. Seattle is second, 9-2 choice. Browns are third, 5-1. All these teams need a quarterback, obviously. Saints 6-1. Giants 8-1. Raiders 9-1. Panthers 11-1. Jets 12-1. Colts 14-1. Jags 16-1. Pats 16-1. Bucks 20-1. Cowboys 25-1. Dolphins 25-1. And the Niners are 33-1. So, and they're the last choice there. So he's not coming to the Niners. I mean, he's not coming to the Niners because he's not even as good as Brock Purdy right now. But I mean, I do understand the people who are nervous about paying Brock Purdy big money. I do understand that. And yet his agent has maintained that, this idea that Brock's going to sign a 3-year, $120 million deal and play for 40 a year is preposterous. He's not going to play for 40 a year when Dak Prescott is making 60 a year and he's better than Dak Prescott. So the bottom line is I think Kyle Strongen is going to ask for 60 to 65 million per year, possibly what Barnwell suggested, 5 years, 325, 65 a year. I don't want to pay him that. And I don't think the Niners want to pay him that. So the question then is this. We know that they're going for top of the market money. We know that the Niners say that they're committed to signing Purdy to an extension this offseason. So are the two sides going to work together and we're going to get a deal? My guess is that in the Niners' ideal world, he makes 40. And in Brock's ideal world and his agent's ideal world, he makes 60 and they settle on 50. And that to me is a fair price for Brock Purdy. Why? Because he's as good as Jalen Hurts. And Jalen Hurts makes 51. He's as good or better than Tua Tagovailoa. He makes 53. I looked at the list yesterday of the NFL quarterbacks that make over $50 million. And Brock is better than basically all of them except for Joe Burrow almost. I mean, he's literally has done more than all of them have done. So, I mean, we'll see how it all shakes out when it all comes down. But
do you have that list in front of you, or can you access it? How many quarterbacks, Larry, are making $50 million a year?
9.
There's 9 guys. So a third of the league is a $50 million a year quarterback.
So this is what it is. Here's the top of the scale. Dak Prescott is number 1.
Yep.
Okay, he's number 1. He makes $60 million. He's 2-5 in the playoffs. He's got no rings. Joe Burrow's next. He makes 55. Joe Burrow's only 35-30 in one career, but he's 5-2 in the playoffs, but he has no rings.
Joe Burrow is so good, no one looks at Cincinnati failure and attributes it to him in any way, shape, or form. So that's
Jordan Love makes 55. He's 1-1 in the playoffs, with the loss being to the Niners, no rings. Trevor Lawrence makes 55. He's 22-38 career, 1-1 in the playoffs, no rings. Tua Tagovailoa makes 53. He's 0-1 in the playoffs, obviously no rings. Jared Goff makes $53 million. He's 4-4 in the playoffs, no rings. Justin Herbert makes 52.5. He's 38-38 career, 0-1 in the playoffs. Lamar Jackson is making $52 million. He's 2-4 in the playoffs, no rings. And Jalen Hurts is making 51. He's 2-3 in the playoffs, no rings. Brock Purdy, just for those who are counting, 23-11 in the regular season, 4-2 in the playoffs. And he also has no rings, but he has won an NFC championship game. So that's where Brock's at. And Damon, to me, here are the options. Sign Brock to about $50 million. Richard Sherman said it yesterday in a video. You're not getting him for less than $50 million. You're just not. And even the $50 million would be a concession on his agent's part, really, because he probably deserves, like the other quarterbacks deserve.
Yeah, here's the thing. The timing of the market is going to dictate this more than the player, his resume, his anything. It's happening. He's north of 55. I can just tell you that right now. It's going to happen.
As far as why did Dak get 60? Because he was the most recent guy to sign. I mean, Jimmy Garoppolo had the record-setting deal when the Niners signed him. So, I mean, the trend in the NFL is that the guy who gets paid the most recent is at the top of the scale, typically, if he is a top-tier quarterback. The question is he a top-tier quarterback? And a lot of people would say, based on what they've seen this year, that he's not. Now, his elbow injury and his shoulder injury, I don't know if it infected his throwing. But just watching him in the last 2 or 3 weeks, his deep ball is hanging. It's got a lot of loop and it's really hanging. So I don't know if he's lost arm strength. I will say this. He had just barely requisite arm strength. That's how I described his arm strength. It wasn't good enough as far as I was concerned in college, but then he built it up in Jacksonville working with throwing coaches, and it became requisite, just enough to survive. Well, if he's lost any arm strength because of the shoulder injury or the elbow injury or fatigue or whatever, or just he doesn't get a good grip on a wet ball in the December weather, any of those things, and you're talking about a guy whose deep ball's hanging, and if your deep ball hangs, you're not as effective and you're not as dangerous because you can't make those throws. And that's what I'm seeing. So I don't know what the answer is. Is he physically right? I think I'd want to find that out. But I looked at the options. Here are the options.
I mean, well, before we go to the options, how much of that hang is on Purdy, his physicality, his arm strength, whatever, and how much is that on him beyond George Kittle not having any confidence throwing to anybody? Sure, Jawan Jennings is a trusted agent, but I think that like Purdy's. It's the wrong year to reach your final evaluation on anybody on this team, isn't it? Especially Brock Purdy with all the problems at wide receiver that we've seen.
I mean, it's not about final evaluations. I mean, I don't make final evaluations. I evaluate every week as we go. And, these are moving. It's a moving target. I mean, if you do personnel, the guys who are really good at it are current. They're not just good, they're current. So you have to be current on what are we seeing. And right now, currently, Brock is not throwing the ball well. He's not seeing the field. And I think his dial, Damon, is a little off. Where last year, his risk reward dial was perfectly set.
Yep.
This year, I'll just take the throw that cost him the game against the Rams.
That was the most disappointing throw of his season, without a doubt.
But it was disappointing in real time. It was horrific upon the rewatch.
Yep.
When you watch the All-22, what you saw was the Rams in like almost a prevent where they were literally had all of their defenders deep, and they were giving Brock 3 different options of checkdowns across the intermediate, and he chose none of them.
Right.
With a rusher in his face. And you saw what Brock saw. He had a rusher in his face. He's leaning back. He didn't see JJ. He just put it in harm's way. Just floated it in the middle of the field on second down when they were already in field goal range in a field goal game. He gave away the season on a blind pass. It was fucking horrible. So it's one pass, but it shows that his dials of risk reward are all fucked up. And it's probably due to the fact that his weapons have deserted him. I mean, let's be honest, outside of Kittle, everybody else tucked tail and got the hell out of there. I mean, I'm not saying they quit on him like Devondre Campbell, but they're not the guys. Last year, McCaffrey, Debo, and Ayuk had 40 touchdowns combined. They have 2 right now, 2, like as in me and you. So that's not good. And the worst part of all of it is that next year, the worst part is next year, because it's not just that they went from 40 to 2. Okay, that happened. It's about, they went from 40 to 2, and they're way more likely to get 2 next year than they are to get 40. So that's the real problem, is that what do you do when you have all this money tied up in those freaking guys and they're all kind of cooked? What do you do? That's where they're at.
Well,
it's a
then
tough question, isn't it?
It is. I mean, it is not an easy situation that the 49ers have laid out in front of them with all the moving pieces, and then Brock unto himself. There are some very big, very consequential, will dictate the next 4 or 5 years of your win-loss record decisions coming up in this offseason. Again, if there is any doubt, and they haven't expressed any publicly, the 49ers are going to make Brock Purdy the highest paid player in football, at least from what they're saying. If they have any internal doubt, walk away, reset the whole thing, because what's real is the 49ers probably aren't back in the playoffs next year without radical redefinition of who the weapons are on this team and a full-on reload. And I don't know how many levers they're going to have to really pull to regenerate the team. And even with another good draft, we know that Kyle's not going to play. There is no – Kyle Shanahan would have figured out a way not to play Jamar Chase in his rookie year. He would have figured out a way not to play Justin Jefferson in his rookie year. Kyle doesn't like rookies. Full stop. All of them. Probably don't even like Dominic Pooney, even though he's playing well. Just he's not a let's have the kids save the season type of coach. It's just not who he is. So I don't know if there's a really big step forward waiting for the 49ers. I think this is going to be a little bit of a purge what you got before you can just start replacing everyone. So I think there's 2 years of work here. And again, if you're not down with Purdy, then walk away. But please don't tell me Kirk Cousins is the answer. I just watched a guy throw so many interceptions, he's gotten benched. I've never seen Brock Purdy throw 9 interceptions in between touchdown passes. And neither of you, because it's never happened, and I doubt it ever will. Like, the Kirk Cousins might be the answer crowd. Is like, again, this is why not everyone should be given a platform. I don't understand it. I really don't understand.
Well, I mean,
Brock can't win.
You do understand it. I mean, you understand exactly why Kirk Cousins is being suggested, because Kyle loves Kirk Cousins. And
5 years ago, Kyle. 10 years ago, 6 years ago. I mean, everything.
That's why.
But if we're staying current, like you said, good talent evaluators are current. I'm currently looking at a quarterback. I'm not interested in Kirk Cousins. And even
but who's saying it?
Kirk Cousins,
I mean, that's the other thing. Who's saying it? I mean, it's one of many options. All right. These are the options. You can sign Brock Purdy, but you're probably going to have to sign him for $50 million, and you can build around him. And that's what I would do. You can trade Brock Purdy, but I don't know what kind of market there is for a quarterback that is going to get, is due a brand new contract right now. So nobody's getting the benefit of rookie contract Brock. You're getting Brock at whatever his agent and you can negotiate. So 40, 50, 60. I mean, you're paying him a good chunk of money. So what does that mean to other teams as far as what they would be willing to trade? I don't know. You could sign Sam Darnold, and Baldy yesterday went on the game and told Bonte and Shasky that that's what he would do, that he would sign Sam Darnold and trade Brock Purdy. Okay, Sam Darnold is 12-2 or whatever this year, but Darnold was 33-37 career, or that's what he is career, even with the 12-2. So he's gone 12-2 to make his horrendous NFL record close to 500. But that's what he is, and that's what he is with Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison in that offense this year. You could trade for Cousins. Cousins is 83, 74-2 career, but he's only got one playoff win, 1-3 in the playoffs. You could try to trade Brock Purdy and your draft choice to move up for Cam Ward or Shedeur Sanders if you really thought Shedeur Sanders was the next superstar or Cam Ward was Lamar or something. I mean, if you really thought, if you had that conviction, you could do that. You could also sign a reclamation project quarterback, of which there are 4. There's more than 4, but these are the 4 prominent ones. Mac Jones, Justin Fields, Zach Wilson, and Daniel Jones. I did ask Kyle 3 weeks ago, what did you guys think of Daniel Jones? He's like, we discussed it internally. He eventually signed with Minnesota. He's a free agent this offseason. A lot of people feel like maybe Brock comes back with Daniel Jones as the backup. Or the other angle, and by the way, John Lund the other day kind of liked the idea of Daniel Jones. He thinks Daniel Jones is their guy with Brock that they'll replace their backups with next year. And then I threw out one last night that is interesting to me, and that is Russell Wilson. I mean, Russell Wilson is not a reclamation project. Russell Wilson's a future Hall of Famer. He is 37. But if by chance you said to yourself, let's just say Jed said to Kyle and John, hey, look, you guys, this was year 8. And I don't know, Damon, how long they have. Where Andy Reid had 13 years in Philly without winning, and then without winning a ring. And then they chased him out. Now look what he's got. But I don't know what Kyle's got. I don't know what John's got as far as commitment from Jed and years. But let's just say he's got 3 years. I don't know. I have no sources. I'm just throwing that out. Would you rather have Russell Wilson at like 8 million, 10 million, and then go build up around Russell Wilson for 3 years? And if it works, it works. And if it doesn't, it doesn't. Or would you rather pay Brock $50 or $55 million? Probably, as you said, have to have a transition period where you kind of transition your roster away from the old regime, not old regime, but the Debos, the Ayuks, the CMC, and find your new Debo, Ayuk, CMC. And that is not going to be seamless, right? And that's probably not going to be a 1-year thing. So if you only have 3 years left, and I don't know what they have left, but don't you think, I mean, if I had 3 years left, I would rather have Russell Wilson at $10 million and then have $40 million to go spend on offensive linemen, defensive linemen, linebackers, whatever, as opposed to Brock at 50 or 55 million with a lot of question marks. If I only have a year or 2 left to get it done. So I don't love the Russell Wilson idea, but Russell did show in Pittsburgh that if you surround him with a run game, a decent line, a good defense, and a solid organization, he still can win games and do some good things. If you really don't want to pay Brock, like you're morally offended by 50 or 55 million, that is an option to you.
Yeah,
people in the chat are freaking. You got this guy, Russell Wilson sucks. No, he doesn't. He's a Hall of Famer, and he's having a good year.
Well,
Travis's Larry is indeed insane. I'm just saying.
I wouldn't want to do that. To me, going, ultra older, tread off tire Russell Wilson at this point in time. I'm sure he knows the division from all those years up in Seattle, but I'd rather see what Tanner Mordecai's got. I really would. Show me something new.
But here's the thing, Damon.
Here's
one more thing, one more stat on this. And this is why I think when we're back to being current, the 49ers, this is on ESPN.com on the power rankings today. Okay. The 49ers averaged 11.2 yards per reception allowed. Okay. That was 24th in the NFL. And they yielded 18 plays of 20 plus passing yards, tied for 16th in the first 7 weeks. Their defense has improved in this area since that point, but offensively, they're not getting chunk yardage plays, and they're not really making big plays down the field. So I don't know. I'm not really sure if Brock's arm issue or lack of deep ball zip or whatever is that like the new Brock, or is that just the diminished Brock, or is that Brock in wet weather? But it does make you pause a little bit, because he did have, like, last year he really saw it, and last year he really produced, and maybe it was because of the weapons. This year those weapons are totally gone, and now he doesn't have even replacement level players in some cases. I mean, Pearsall's run 105 routes. He has 2 catches. So I mean, I know he's been shot, this and that. He's not doing anything. So
here's the deal. So Brock Purdy is the only guy who's basically been out there for all of it, right? Like we're not gonna hold the Brandon Allen start against him.
Yeah.
He missed, but he's basically, he's had the entire year, and in a year where none of it's gone right. I saw this the other day. The 49ers are 8th in overall DVOA, 11th offensively, 6th defensively, 30th in special teams. They would be better if their special teams wasn't basically dead last. They're the only team in the top 16 in the NFL in DVOA with a losing record.
Right.
So,
which means they're terrible situational football team.
Right. Well, that's you failed to score the 40 plus touchdowns that you had last year. That's what that is. It's all about red zone failure. That's where this season went up in smoke for the San Francisco 49ers. You want to put that on Brock? Then walk away from Brock. You want to put that on Shanahan? Walk away from Shanahan. I actually think the thing that might be best for the 49ers is Brock Purdy and Kyle together in year 4. I know that comes at a price point that nobody really wants to go to, but the consistency and not hitting the reset button, at the very first sign of trouble is what good organizations do. You could have flushed out of Kyle after the 2019 Super Bowl, and then the next year went all wonky. That could have been a flush point. You stuck with him. You're back in another Super Bowl. There's part of me that wants to see them keep this together. Maybe not Debo, but I'd like to know what Christian McCaffrey looks like with another offseason of all of this going behind him. I still have faith in the guy. I think that Brock Purdy, again, he ain't perfect. Perfect isn't coming. If you're hesitant about the price point, then just walk away entirely. Or, give him a deal that is very still lucrative to Brock, but financially friendly to the 49ers, with all sorts of outs in it. And you can walk away after 2 years with all the guaranteed money loaded up front, whatever it takes to make this if things don't work out, we can still walk away. But in the meantime, we're going to pay you like the market rate suggests.
But walk away to what?
Exactly.
If you don't like Brock, walk away. Okay, but no, there's games to be played. There's a season to be played. You have a team that you have to have a quarterback. So walking away is not a decision. Walking away is just a decision to get away from Brock, but then who are you walking to?
Well,
I don't think anybody cares about walking away from anybody. I walked away from her. Yeah, but I walked into the arms of, a supermodel.
So at that point, you're dealing with someone else's problems, right? I mean, that's if you're walking away from Brock because of his problems and your problems and what it was cost to pay him, you're walking into the problems of Daniel Jones, the problems of Zach Wilson, the problems of, we can say, well, there don't seem to be a lot of problems right now with Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson was evaluated by Sean Payton, who might be a coach of the year candidate this year, as not good enough to be my quarterback anymore. And Sean Payton knows quarterback play. So to me, the answer cannot be, let's restart, but with someone in their late 30s. Or let's restart with a guy who is cloaked in just beaten down by the New York media. And I think I've watched enough Daniel Jones, too, to also say, nah, I'm not interested really there. I'd be more interested, I think, in Zach Wilson than Daniel Jones.
But, I mean, here's the thing. Once again, it's always about who looks good in the moment. Yeah, Sam Darnold didn't look good either, but he sure looks good with the Vikings. So how are you ever going to get the reclamation quarterback and have him find himself if every time you look at guys who aren't good, you're like, oh, he's not good. I don't want him. You would have missed on Baker Mayfield. You would have missed on everybody.
How many games do the Vikings win this postseason to where Darnold isn't a walk away from? I mean, I'll tell you right now, if the Vikings win the Super Bowl, what are they going to walk away from Darnold? Be like, yeah, we're
no, but I'm just saying my point is that if you look at things as they are, then and not as they potentially could be, then Harbaugh never would have gone with Alex Smith. He would have looked at Alex Smith and said, no, he can't do it. So Tampa wouldn't have taken a shot on Baker Mayfield. Minnesota wouldn't have taken a shot on Sam Darnold. I guess I'm just saying, there's lots of people that think they know tons about football, and they're like, oh, Zach Wilson sucks. Mac Jones sucks. Anthony Richardson sucks. All these guys suck. Okay, but guess what? Somebody of that group is going to go somewhere else with a better surrounding cast, and they're going to perform, and they're going to play. And that's what we're talking about. You don't have every option available to you if you're the 49ers. You only really have free agents, draft choices, your own guy, or reclamation projects that other people have kicked to the side of the road, and you could just pick them up as you go. And
here's what I know.
Those are your options.
Here's what I know.
And by the way, Alec Parker, we've seen Pearsall getting open. What, once? Maybe twice? Brock missing him? Dude, he's run 105 fucking routes. He has 2 catches. Larry never mentions that, just loves to shit on Ricky. I'm going to shit on Ricky because Ricky is shit until he proves otherwise. Ricky is nothing as an NFL player until he's something. You don't go into the NFL and you're something. He's not on scholarship. You have to perform. He's not performing. When he performs bad, I'll say it. When he performs good, I'll say that too.
Right, but I mean, it's amazing that that we're watching Ricky Pearsall, who hasn't even played double-digit games in this league, and we're ready to say that's not working at all. He's not doing it. But at the same time,
7 routes, 5 2 catches
either. But you're willing to give him a second chance and another look. Zach Wilson.
Who? Yeah, Zach, we're not talking about the same thing. One guy was a first-round draft choice that people are trying to say is good now. The other guy is a failed first-round draft choice quarterback who played on the Jets and now is starting to find himself on the Broncos. And quarterbacks do find themselves. And Ricky might be better next year. And next year, when he's better, we'll say it. But right now, he's not good. Yeah. And I'm not saying go get Zach Wilson and pay him anything. I'm saying go get Zach Wilson and pay him nothing. Why? Because he's not worth anything. Because he's not playing well. So that's the point. I'm very consistent. When it comes down to it, quarterbacks find themselves.
If Shanahan thinks he can get a proximate Purdy performance out of the next guy, whoever the next guy might be, then yes, you walk away from Brock Purdy before you paid him $60 million. But if we're going to take the Niners at their word of anything, we have just wasted 34 minutes talking about something that really shouldn't even be a topic if we're going to take the Niners at their word. Brock Purdy's coming back. So to talk about who might be his replacement when there's no one to replace,
here's why we're having this discussion, because people who know the Niners know that Parag is a really, really, really tough negotiator, and that he, for the most part, likes below market value deals. And we know that the agent for Brock is going to want top of the market money and he may or may not be worth top of the market money. Just because the Niners say they're committed to bringing him back doesn't mean they're committed to paying him $65 million. It may, but it doesn't necessarily mean that. So I think there's a lot of people looking at that going, Purdy's guy wants 60 to 65 because that's top of the market. Parag is always been known as a tough negotiator who gets his price. And God knows the 49ers have had holdouts because of it. And then that's making people go, okay, well, what happens if Kyle, the agent for Brock, says, I want 65 million and Parag comes back and says, we'll pay you 45. Then what? See, that's why all this other discussion has to take place, because I think it's pretty likely that the 49ers want Brock back, but they probably want him back closer to their price. And he probably wants top of the market money. So there could potentially be they could sign this thing today, and be like, oh, we're all on the same page. Or they could have an impasse that is no way could ever be solved. So I do think it's incumbent on the 49ers, and since we're 49er content creators, we're part of this discussion, to at least with the Niner fans in this kind of lead up to free agency, especially now that the Niners are out, to at least explore all of the 49ers options, lay them out on the table, and allow the fan base to say, you know what, I didn't want Brock, but now that I see the options, I do. Or I did want Brock, but now that I see the options, I'd rather take this option or that option. And you know what? We don't know what the right solution is, because Baker Mayfield's playing his ass off right now. Sam Darnold might go to a Super Bowl this year. So we don't know. Maybe there's a reclamation quarterback that would do the same thing next year.
Yeah, I mean, but Baker was, one of the most successful high school quarterbacks in the history of Texas high school football.
So what?
Heisman Trophy winner. There's a pedigree to him.
All these guys are great. They're all great in college.
Could continue. I think that there was a pedigree that you could continue to bet on in Baker Mayfield. Like the minute the 49ers want to walk away from Brock at a big price point, that is a message to the league that, no one needs to pay him what he's asking.
Baker Mayfield was a sketchy character as far as his actual character. So there's more to investigate there. Not only was he short like Brock, not only was he, a lot of people don't think he's got the physical makeup. He also had kind of some character concerns. And he had also gone to this I believe is his third team, right? Or third or fourth team. He was on the Rams. So, I mean, he was Baker Mayfield was anybody could have had him. He was on the street. So, there was obviously some people that were very skeptical because he didn't get a very big contract initially.
Hey, ask Brock to play the final year of his rookie deal and then say, we'll franchise you.
Yeah. I mean, he's not going to do that. That whole thing is the same angle of let Brandon play on the 5th year option. How many people were like, don't pay him, have him play on the 5th year option, when that really wasn't an option? And I think having Brock play another year for peanuts is not an option either. I think he's given enough at the office. I think the 49ers have gotten a good enough deal. You know what I'm saying? If I'm Kyle Strong and his agent, I'm like, dude, you guys want a better deal? You've already gotten a sweetheart of a deal.
You've already completely blown the sweet spot of your contractual relationship with this guy. You can't have two of them. I get it. I really do. Well, then it comes down to, do you believe in this guy?
Or do you believe in his health or his arm? I mean, I believe in him, but he doesn't have arm strength to lose. So if he loses arm strength, I no longer believe in him. The same way I didn't really believe in him coming out of Iowa State, because he didn't quite have the arm strength.
You got the magic dust that you can sprinkle on anybody, be it C.J. Beathard or Nick Mullins, and get some decent performances out of no matter who is your quarterback, then go right back to the draw. Like I said, then play Tanner Mordecai these last 3 games just to see what he is. Maybe there's a reason to believe that could be the future. Maybe there's a reason to say Tanner Mordecai is never going to be an NFL quarterback. Find out in your next 3 games. Find out. If there's serious doubt right now about who Brock Purdy is, the 49ers have the most precious 3-game window to audition whatever in-house ideas they think might be better than Brock. So do it.
I don't think they will. I mean, they're going to play the thing out, and they're going to play with their guys. They're not that creative, They're not that they don't do things like that. They're not going to play Tanner Mordecai. If he plays at all, it would probably be one half of the last game or something like that. But I agree. Take inventory. The last 3 weeks should be useful. And what's useful? Take inventory. What does that mean? Now on offense or on defense, you're already playing all your guys. So Evan Anderson's already playing, and all your young safeties are already playing.
Show me Mason Pline. Show me what you've done with a guy who's been on your practice squad.
You're not going to see Mason Pline. Mason Pline was put on the IR yesterday. Of
course he was.
He's on the practice squad IR. So they moved him from the practice squad to the practice squad IR yesterday. So he must have gotten hurt in practice somewhere. But I mean, so he unfortunately is not going to be able to get, but he would have been on that list. What I want to see is Ricky Pearsall do something. I want to see Jacob Cowing, significantly, Jacob Cowing should be used from scrimmage. We got to see if he's a useful downfield threat. So Pearsall and Cowing for sure. I'd like to see on the offensive line Drake Nugent at center, just because I'd like to see what he looks like. They don't really have anybody young at tight end that's worth watching. Tanner Mordecai is the only young quarterback. I'd like to see Garendo and maybe a little Izzy Abadaconda. As I said, on defense, they're already playing all their guys. So that's really it. The 49ers, that is in a nutshell the 49ers problem. Yesterday, the Niners cut Ambry Thomas, and it made me go look at, because he was a third-round draft choice, and I wanted to look at exactly how many draft choices in the first 3 rounds the 49ers have squandered in this regime. And Damon, it's a ridiculous number. It's 20. They have taken 28 players in the draft.
All right, let's not forget our Trey Sermons.
Well, here it is. Here's the list: Jalen Hurd, Mike McGlinchey, Dante Pettis, Solomon Thomas, Reuben Foster, Akella Witherspoon, C.J. Beathard, Tarvarius Moore, Javon Kinlaw, Trey Lance. That's 10. Then you've got 2 picks that you also gave away with Trey Lance. Or actually 3. So that's 13. Trey Sermon's 14. Ambry Thomas is 15. Drake Jackson 16. Ty Davis Price is 17. Danny Gray's 18. Cam Latu's 19. And Pearsall, until he does something, is 20. That's 20 misses in the first 3 rounds.
Bad.
And the only ones you've hit on are Bosa, Debo, Fred Warner, Brandon Ayuk, Dom Pooney, Renardo Green, and I'm giving the Niners Jair Brown, who a lot of people think is a bust, and Jake Moody, who a lot of people don't like. So yeah. I'm giving them 8 hits.
You're spotting them too, and I'm going to tell you right now, my mom could have drafted Nick Bosa. You get 0 credit for drafting Nick Bosa. It's like when a chef comes to your table and he's like, "How'd you like that lobster mac and cheese?" Well, you put lobster in it, so of course it was good. You don't get any credit for that. You're not a fucking great chef. You just put lobster in it, so of course it's good. My mom would have drafted Nick Bosa. They don't get any credit for that, none. So sorry.
So I'm okay. So if you take away Bosa and then you took away Jair Brown and Jake Moody, now your hit rate is Debo, Warner, Ayuk, Pooney, and Renardo Green. You've hit on 5 picks since 2017 in the first 3 rounds.
Is Debo a hit? Debo has had we could count the number of games that Debo has had that have really mattered more than the number of seasons.
He's had a good career. He's made the Pro Bowl. I mean, you make the Pro Bowl, that's fine. You make the Pro Bowl, you're a hit. And that's my standard. So I'll give them Bosa, Debo, Fred, Ayuk. I'll give them Moody because he's their current kicker. I'll give them Jair Brown on hope. Dom Pooney, Renardo Green. You've got 8 hits. You've got 20 misses.
It sounds
70% miss rate.
It sounds just a little like both Kyle and John Lynch need to stay the fuck out of the room. I mean, maybe this is a John Lynch problem. He's such a handsome, good guy that he avoids like basically any and all criticism. There has been colossal damage done to the fortunes of this franchise by bad draft picks. Now he's made up for it. The blind squirrel did find the nut in talent acquired in later rounds. So, there's some element of him being good at the job. Yeah. And there's also always the proof that nothing says that you can play in this league until you're playing in this league. Who is your favorite player right now? I am telling you, Heisman Trophy winner Travis Hunter is one of the single most unique, talented young men I have ever seen coming out of college. He might be in the CFL. Okay? He's going to get drafted high. He's going to get paid a ton of money, and he may or may not be able to play football professionally. We'll find out. We don't know yet. I don't care that he's got a Heisman Trophy and all the talent in the world. This league will let us know if he can play or not. Same for Shador, same for Cam Ward, same for every single kid about to be drafted or join a team as an unrestricted free agent. The fact that you have so many unrestricted free agents is proof that the evaluation process is a flawed, impossible thing to ever perfect. So
Anthony licked Scorpion. Yes. Says Larry with all these exclamation points. I'm always leery of all caps. Brock is getting 65 and the front office will pay him. Enough of the what if conversation for clicks. The what if conversation needs to be had because not everybody believes that Brock Purdy's worth $65 million. And when I say not everybody, I don't think the Niners think he's worth $65 million. So we'll see. We'll see about that.
Tell me why walk away? Why cut Ambry Thomas now? What's the benefit there?
Ambry Thomas tweeted out something on Saturday. Like, I'm healthy and I'm not getting any playing time or something like that. So maybe it was an answer to that. I'm going to ask Kyle about that. Or I'm going to ask maybe Sorensen about that. Let's hit some supers. Joseph Ernberg says signing Brock Purdy will put this team in 2 to 3 down years. Oh, God, don't say that. Diego Sanchez, if Brock Purdy isn't the quarterback that we think he is and are planning to move off of him, then this front office is out too. They're only still here because of Brock Purdy after Lance. That's a good point. That's a very good point. Callie Young, Larry, did you see Mayoko say he's expecting Nick Sorensen to be brought back as defensive coordinator? I did not see that. I heard people reference that. I'm not expecting that. So maybe he's tied in. DeBig25 says, once saw Penix become a starter, first thought was get ready for the Cousins to the 49er talk this offseason. Yeah. Oh, yeah. No
it was an easy line to draw. But again, the people who are like, Brock isn't a winner. He can't win. If your head coach's problem is he can't win the big game, marrying your head coach to Kirk Cousins sounds like the dumbest thing I've ever heard of then. Yeah. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, head coach that can't get it done and a quarterback that can't get it done. If you put them together, they're awesome.
Kirk Cousins gets under the lights of Monday Night Football and is like, shit, a little too hot and bright for me. But
the saddest thing ever is that Kirk Cousins' greatest game ever was the Niner game last year. I mean, he threw for 397. He completed 88% of his passes. He was freaking amazing. Of course, it came against the Niners. JJ Rader says he's been a member for 12 months. If the 49ers want to get better now, why not hire an offensive coordinator? We can all agree it wouldn't hurt to hire an OC besides Kyle Shanahan's feelings. It's like Kyle Shanahan. It's like ask your wife if she thinks it's a good idea that you hire a girlfriend. You should, JJ, go ask her. Go ask her. Hey, baby, what do you think if I hire somebody else to take care of the things that you don't want to take care of? She's not going for it. Kyle ain't going for it. Kyle is the offensive coordinator.
Unless she's officially reached the point in the marriage where she's like, yeah, let's contract that out.
Yeah, seriously. Yeah, and if she does want to contract it out, that's probably not a good sign either. Pam says something is off with Brock's shoulder. I kind of agree. Velocity, trajectory, distance, accuracy, not the same this year for deep throws, even accounting for bad wide receiver play. I kind of agree with this. Now, I wouldn't say this year. I would say this month. I've noticed it. I mean, he had some really good deep throws early in the year. But the last month, his deep ball is literally floating.
Lollipop.
Yes. It is, yes. I mean, there's no other way to say it. I don't know what any other way to describe it. DeBig says Pearsall's knock coming out of college was not being able to get separation against press coverage, and they still wasted a first-round pick on him. Shaking my damn head. Here's the thing about Pearsall. He has, to me, it's all about insane toughness, because that's what he's going to need, because he's going to operate in the middle of the field. I mean, just listen to the comps when people are like, yeah, you know what? We're hoping he can be a Julian Edelman. Julian Edelman, really? Julian Edelman's like the toughest motherfucker that ever played wide receiver.
Right.
You're telling me that Ricky Pearsall is going to be dominating. If he's going to be good, it's going to happen in the middle of the field. If it's going to happen in the middle of the field, he's going to take hits. If he's going to take hits, he's only going to be good if he's super tough. So we're going to find out how tough he is. And people say, well, he got shot. No, that doesn't prove toughness. That just proves that he was in the wrong place at the wrong time and can endure. There's a big difference between being shot and taking hits and staying healthy in the NFL. I mean, we all can understand that. And we'll see. We'll see. I mean, right now, yeah, did Brock miss him on a play that we saw the other day? Yep, he did. He was wide open. Should have been a touchdown. And if he makes that catch, we're probably saying different things about Ricky. But you know what? If this, if that, life's too short. It's about what you do. And it could be on Brock. A couple of them are on Brock, but it ain't all on Brock. You tell me this guy's run 107 routes and he's got 2 catches. That's all on Brock? Come on.
If we're fifth,
Brock's going to throw to the open guy. Drunk. Yeah, I mean, come on. Brock's going to throw to the open guy if he's open. Anthony says, Larry, I'm sure he says, whose fault Ricky sucks, Brock or Kyle? I don't think it's that Ricky. It's not Ricky sucks. It's that Ricky is a rookie receiver, and there's an adjustment period. In college, they're all open. In the pros, you're never open. And it's way more physical in the pros. And every corner is the guy that shut you down in college that one time. Now that corner is every Sunday. And when that guy comes out of the game, a new guy comes in the game, and that guy's the same corner that shuts you down in college every week. So it's just really a lot harder to play wide receiver in the pros. Just as simple as that. And outside of Randy Moss, they almost all suck as first-year guys. So I'm not saying Ricky's going to be terrible forever. I'm not. I still have hope for Ricky. But this idea that he's going to emerge as great, I would pump the brakes on that.
Yeah, right. We need someone who is presenting a viable target, and his targets have been so unviable that he doesn't even get looks. He doesn't even get targeted, much less catches, production, touchdown. That's the problem. That he's not even presenting himself as an option out on the field to play with all those. Would you say he's run how many snaps? Got 2 targets and that many snaps. That's bad. That's bad.
Juan says need a defensive tackle from Michigan. Mason Graham, LOL, looks like Aaron Donald. You know what he looks like? It's Justin Smith. That's what he looks like. Aaron, I don't know if you've seen this kid Graham, Mason Graham from Michigan, but he's just he's 318 pounds, but he's quick as a hiccup, strong as hell, gets in the backfield at will, plays next to Kenneth Grant, who's like 340 and just a condominium.
I'll tell you what. So he wrecked shop against Ohio State. He did not do much against Indiana. Indiana played really well against him up front.
Maybe Indiana's got a good line. Does Indiana have a good O-line?
Have a good O-line, and Indiana's got linebackers that are going to be beating Notre Dame on Friday, baby. Let's go.
That is going to be a phenomenal game.
I think so.
Game.
I think
we gotta run because I got to get to Santa Clara early today because of the schedule's all screwed up. But I did have to ask you, what did you think of the new NBA All-Star format?
So I'm curious enough to watch it play to where I'll say if its job was to interest me in watching this year's NBA All-Star game, I guess mission accomplished, because I've not watched an NBA All-Star game in years because they've been so bad. The fact that this NBA is officially in the point of its existence where the message play harder, play defense is impossible to convey to the richest standard bearers of the game is disgusting. It's bad.
I heard somebody make a great point the other day. It made me laugh, Damon, but it's so spot on. They said that the current NBA players play the All-Star game as if they're playing it in front of a mirror. They're worried more about how they look than they're worried about just competing and playing. They're looking outwardly at how their image is being displayed and how they look. Everybody's fronting. It's like a gigantic game of everybody's out there trying to look cool. No, like everybody cares about that and only that.
This is when I miss Kobe Bryant, because Kobe Bryant would have gone out there and just run through motherfuckers. You know, it wasn't working as is, though. There's a lot of talent in the NBA. There have never been fewer dogs in any league as there are in the NBA right now. It feels like Dennis Schroeder moved to the Warriors, because I think Schroeder's a little bit of a dog, man. I really do. I like him. I'm going to like him on the Warriors, I think. But no, the NBA is an embarrassment of over-coddled, overprivileged athletes whose I don't feel like playing hard today has permeated this league to the point where fewer people are watching than ever before, and you got to invent gimmicks to get people to tune into shit. That's not good. That's not good.
Yeah. Just out of nowhere, random Adrian Gutierrez. Larry, it would be all right if you were swingers. I hope that was... I'm not sure exactly what that is in regards to. That was our conversation earlier about your wife. You could have, the
whole problem with being a swinger is I know for a fact that my wife would do better than I would. So no.
How about this one? Both of our wives would do better than us. CR Brum 91 says, bunch of whiny fucking children. Thank you. I don't know if he's talking about us or the Niner fans, but either way, it's good.
Maybe the NBA, maybe NBA players, maybe the All-Star week. I don't know, but I do know that you got to get running, Larry.
Yep.
Not a day for the Miata. There could be a little rain out there, low-lying fog in the city. There's some sun trying to peek through, but good luck. Good luck, Larry.
You know, Ralph, the one thing I've always said, you know, that Miata, your hair's blowing in the wind, and, I wish I had a little bit more up here. I could have it blow like I did when I was a young Trent Baalke rolling around. But I'll say this, that Miata, be careful, Ralph. There's that Thule fog, which is kind of a low-hanging fog, and it's that time of the year. So beware, my friend, of the, good old Trent Baalke told you, beware of the fucking Thule fog.